There are endless books about ways to grow a business, how to make deals, and how to follow in the footsteps of successful entrepreneurial pioneers. However, there's one subject that rarely gets brought up on panels, at networking events, or at business conferences. It is a subject reserved for small groups of close entrepreneurial friends at the end of a long day. Guess what? That is relationships. Believe it or not, dating is supposed to be easy and fun. If it's feeling too much like hard work right now, then this episode is for you. Hi, my name is Rayson and I'm your host for the Legacy Show. And today we have invited a renowned dating and relationship expert with a global reputation. Her name is none other than Sami Wunder. Sami is a leading international dating and relationship coach who specializes in helping high achieving women attract and keep romantic love. Her comprehensive approach shows her clients how to embrace strong relationship boundaries while still emanating and inviting feminine energy. Sami has enabled more than 300 single clients to get married and more than 350 partnered clients to bring their marriages back from divorce in the past 5 years. And guess what? Sami has actually founded her multi seven figure relationship brand after exiting a successful career as a gold medalist economist with a master's in public policy. Since then, she had improved the love lives of thousands of women, including celebrities, senior executives, and entrepreneurs in over 55 countries across the globe, and her expertise has been featured in media outlets including Forbes, Glamour, Time, Business Insider, and the BBC. Well, without further ado, let's welcome Sami into the podcast. Woohoo! Hey,
Yay,
Sami.
so happy to be here.
Yeah, I know, right? We have been planning, and my apologies, I have some issue at work and all, so I had to actually plan it. And until today, we are finally able to actually do this podcast, and I'm really honored to have you here. So, Sammy, how have you been?
I've been fabulous. Thank you. Loving my life, helping women across the world have and keep amazing relationships. I'm just so grateful every day for what I get to do in the world.
Oh, nice. So, wow. Speaking of which, besides women, do you help men as well, to actually rebuild their relationship, and even like getting their own dates, for example, or is it just purely you know women that you are helping?
So, I have built an eight-figure love coaching brand, and that has happened purely by helping women as my clients. However, I am more than happy to give advice to men as well because it's really a mirror image, right? Like if I
Right.
tell a woman, go for a good man who is making an effort, then I'm going to tell a man, effort in dating really counts if you're looking to get a wife.
Right. Okay, got it. Yeah, so understand that it's both um sexes that you're helping, but primarily female as well. But I believe the audience who are based in Singapore, Asia, and even like who are not really based in Europe, that you are based in Berlin, that you are I mean in Germany as well. Can you share with the audience a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
I actually come from India. So I was born and brought up in India. I'm a Bollywood girl through and through. I love spicy food and
Okay.
I love wearing saris. And I came to Germany for my master's. I got a full scholarship from the German government. And basically, I stayed back um, because I met my husband here. And this was the time when I was going through a really hard time in my private life with men, in dating. I couldn't understand why a smart, good hearted, reasonably good looking woman would have such a hard time dating or, meeting a good guy. And so basically, I went on a journey of meeting many men. Many ghosted, many fizzled out, many just wanted to take me to bed, and I didn't want that kind of a relationship. So I was like, okay,
Right.
in today's world, how do you date to attract a husband, not just another fling or another affair? And I used to think everything's wrong with the guys. So I was the first person to like always blame the men. I was like, oh, they just want to get in
Yeah.
your pants. Oh, they're intimidated by beautiful, intelligent women. Till I actually met a guy who I thought was the one for me. And we had such a great connection. And I could see that he didn't just want me for my appearance, he was interested in my personality, my intelligence, what I brought to the table. But then, when 2 months down the line, he said to me, Sammy, you're an amazing girl, but I don't think I can give you what you want. Um, it broke my heart and it brought my self esteem to rock bottom. I was like, okay, something must be really wrong with me because this thing just doesn't seem to work out. And then I remember waking up the next morning and going, no, you're not going to give up on your desire for love. You're actually going to understand what's going on here because you are indeed the common denominator in all your experiences. And so
Hmm.
basically, I went on a personal transformation journey where I took personal responsibility for how I was showing up in dating that was pushing the good guys away, that was pushing the good men away. And basically, the lessons I learned in a year's time completely radically shifted the way I thought about men, love, relationships. I worked on my self esteem, I worked on my feminine energy, my boundaries. And literally within a year, I was dating the best guys. They were treating me like a queen, and I had the best year of my life. And at the end of that year, I had a ring on my finger from my husband, Christopher, and we've been married 10 years. We have two beautiful boys. And I am here to show other women, how this is possible for them too.
Right. And modern day these days, having a relationship, and not a lot of them, I would say, not just women but men as well. Quite a number of them do not want to date to marry because they are just wanting to fling, they just want to have fun, they just want to know who they want to be with and all. And there's no wrong to it, there's no right to it as well. It's just personal preferences in a sense, but we were gonna touch base on this a lot more in detail later on, because I have curated a few questions on this kind of stuff, especially when it comes to dating, especially for entrepreneurs who are tuning in to this episode, who are always saying that, hey, I'm busy at work, I'm hustling, I don't have time for a girl or a guy to be with me. You already went past that, and you're already proven, and along with other women that has proven that, hey, you can still get into a relationship, get married, and still build your empire, be it with them or alone with your own team, and still have a family together. And I believe this is going to be something that we're going to talk a lot more later on as well. And Sammy, I'm sorry to hear that you actually went through that phase of life, but everyone has to go through that kind of phase of life where um they have to be hurt before they found love again, and that love is actually something that's pretty rewarding, meaningful for you as well. That's why you have Christopher with you for more than 10 years and even have kids already. But a lot of us will be actually wondering and also wanting to get to know you a bit better. So can you tell us, like, how did you decide to get into the business of love and romance? Because this is a very niche topic, and it's not a lot of women would go into it, because mainly guys will go into this, like um Matthew Hussey, right? All these people, they would rather go into it, or even pick up artists as well. They would go into pick up, and then after that go to dating and relationship, how to sustain it in a sense, in a longer tier kind of thing. So, what brought you to this niche itself?
Yeah, I think I had a 180 career turnaround. So I am a trained economist. I have a master's in public policy. Before I was a love coach for ambitious women, I was working for the United Nations, the International Labor Organization in Geneva in Switzerland. I was making really good money as an international development consultant. And then, as I shared my private story, I went through this personal transformation journey. And basically, I had this big inner transformation. And then I saw that I was not the only woman struggling with love and only woman struggling with dating. So I had a ring on my finger. I had a great man by my side. And I was surrounded by other strong, successful women who were my peers and my colleagues at the ILO, in my master's curriculum at university. And all these women were asking me, Sami, what did you do? Do you think I should call him? Do you think I should text him? Do you think I should say something? He said this. And I was like, wow, like I thought I had an issue that was personal. But now I'm starting to see this is a universal challenge. This is not just me, this is millions of women probably struggling with the same challenge. And then life took a turn where my husband got a great job with the European Space Agency. We moved to Paris in France. I was recently married to my German husband. I was already learning German as a foreign language. And then we went to France. And I was like, oh my God, I have to learn French now to get a job here? Like, oh no. And so I remember telling my husband, I just want to, learn German and really get that right because that's already hard enough for me. And then I found myself sitting at home basically with a master's degree, with so much brains, with so much to give to the world. And it was almost like by a stroke of destiny, I saw on Facebook an ad that suddenly came up and said, do you have a gift that you want to share with the world? Do you have a message that has personally transformed your life that you would like to share with the world? And do you know that you can do it if you train as a coach with us? And
Mm.
long story short, I was like, yes, I do. And that's how my company started. And honestly, I did not start out by saying I'm going to build an 8 figure empire. I did not start out by saying I'm going to build a multi 7 figure per year business. I started out by saying I am really passionate about this message. It changed my life, ladies. And let's see if it can change yours. And what was incredible was the first year in the business was all about private coaching. So I worked one on one intensively. I remember at one point I had, I think, 36 private clients, in a month. And all I was obsessed was, does my process work? Can it get people results? Because I think so many people start out their businesses thinking, how can I make money? How can I do good marketing? And how can I get lots of people to buy my program? But my obsession was my process. Like, I wanted to develop a process that didn't just help me become a wife, but that can help many, many, many others get similar results. And for
Right.
that, you need experience. For that, you need to actually work with people and hone your craft so that you get really good at what you do. And once you get really good at what you do, I think that is when sky is the limit. And so we were a 6 figure business in the first year, a multi 6 figure business in the second year, a 7 figure business in the third year, and a multi 7 figure business in the fourth year. And we're so excited to get to 8 figures per year. We're not there yet, but we still know that um, the way to get there is to actually serve people and get results because that's really the hallmark of success online.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And it's remarkable, especially for someone who has, I would say, not 100% experience in building a business for the first year, because you were actually from a corporate industry economist in a sense, and then after that you came into, you know, sharing your gifts with the world after watching an ad on Facebook. And man, it's really incredible. And your business has actually done exceptionally well. First year, 6 figures, and so on and so forth to seven figures and all. So how were you able to grow so quickly, especially in a non-traditional field?
Yeah, I think, as I said, the first thing is results. Your testimonials and your results are everything. I think
Hmm.
in the competitive world we live in today, also dating and relationships is such a competitive niche. Everybody can come and try to tell you how to get a man or how to get a wife. But then, as competition grows online, I think the people that will really stand out are the people who can get results. So, my
Right.
clients come to me and pay thousands to work with me because they know this woman's work actually delivers the thing that she says it will deliver. So we have a very high client success rate. And if you don't succeed in the first 6 months with us, if you really are committed, it's just a matter of time. We say, like, okay, let's do another 6 months, because you have to succeed with this process. You have a blind spot that you are not able to see. And if we figure out what that blind spot is in dating for you, you will get the results you desire. I think the second thing is, like, first year was intensive one-on-one work to
Mhm.
really craft the process and make the process strong. And then the second year was group coaching because very quickly, as a mom of little kids, I was breastfeeding, I was pregnant, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die this way if I keep working so hard. And so I had to learn how to leverage my time. And time leverage meant, instead of having 10 calls a day with private clients, I
Hmm.
had one 90-minute or 2 hour call with 90 people. So I
Okay.
think group coaching is really where the leverage in scaling started.
Mhm.
And then it's really about optimizing for conversions and really seeing where your message is not hitting, where, as an expert, sometimes you can be so deep in the problem and you can be so much in your own bubble, you can't see what your ideal soul client actually wants to hear from you. And so I had to get good at that because I'm so good at what I do. I am so good with the deep transformational work that sometimes on my front end offers, I would go like, I can help you heal heartbreak. I can help you attract a great man. And, women would not be able to resonate with that message because they don't believe, they're in so much pain. They will not believe that they can get a great guy. And so I
Right.
had to learn how to talk to where my client is. I had to say things like, is online dating feeling hard? Do you just want to give up on Bumble and Tinder? Do you really believe there are no good men out there? And then they're like, yeah, now you're talking to me, like, now I understand. I think you know how I feel. And so
Right.
I think this is also one of the skills one has to learn as one scales a company, to not like be in your expert bubble. Experts know a lot, but we can get drowned in our own brains and all the information we know. And so we have to learn how to really meet our client where they are.
Okay, got it. Wow, it sounds tedious for you to build such a process with them, but I realize that all this meticulous stuff that you have to do with them, it's something that is very important for foundation process, building their foundation in terms of dating and relationships. Because time and time again, not all of them um, are are attuned to this kind of thing in terms of relationship and dating, because they are brought up in a different way. That you have to actually go through a certain process with them, to guide them, to teach them and all. Do you have any very difficult client that you've met during the first year or so?
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's many types of different clients, difficult clients, right? So
Right.
I think there's the difficult client that expects you to do all the work for them. So
Mm,
they
okay.
don't take the responsibility for making the changes you're asking them to make, and they just want you to spoon feed them. So I've paid you the money and now get me a guy. And it's like, sorry, it doesn't work like this. You have just signed up for the gym membership. Now you have to actually use the machines and work out in order to get results, right?
Right.
So I think that client is really difficult. In the first year, I did have some of those clients who were like, oh, like I've paid you the money, now get me a guy. Today, at this level of my brand, I am not so accessible anymore. And if I notice that energy in somebody, that they're coming to me without wanting to do the work themselves, I will simply not accept such clients anymore. So I am very particular about working with people who understand that ultimately it is their responsibility to do the process and to do what we're asking them to do in order to get the results that we say our process helps them get. Now, there's other types of difficult clients. Other types of difficult clients can be clients who don't keep their word, clients who are not reliable and when they will pay. And so sometimes we had issues with, us delivering the services and then not getting paid for our services. And earlier, it used to feel emotional and frustrating, but now I'm just about lawyers. I'm very legal and very strict about it.
Mhm.
I've had to have an own journey of my own personal leadership in order to get to this point. Because earlier I had all kinds of bad feelings about this. Like, am I a bad person if I collect my debt? Is it a bad thing to like ask people for their money if they're going through a hard time themselves? And then I was like,
Right.
yes, of course. If I went through a hard time, I would still honor my bills because the economy cannot function if everybody just made an excuse about I'm sick, I don't have a job, so I can't pay my bills. No, we have to pay our bills. It's our obligation, and that's how the economy functions. And we wouldn't have a successful global economy if everybody just gave up when they were sick and when they were tired or they were going through hardship. So I think it's a value I will offer. If I don't have a good month in business, I don't tell my team, sorry, can't pay you for your work because we didn't have a profitable month. No, it's my responsibility to take care of the people who work for me. And similarly, the people we work for, they owe us to pay us for our time and our effort. And I could go on and on. I mean, there's so many types of difficult clients, but I think you
Yeah.
have very intense emotional experiences in the first 2 years. And then you learn to like deal with this in an objective, healthy, boundaries kind of way.
Right. Okay. So how do you actually set these boundaries with them, especially when, for example, client A actually said, "Hey, I'm actually facing this kind of issue right now. I'm facing a lot of debt, and I can't pay you for this month. We have to wait for another month, kind of thing." How do you actually settle with them in terms of this when it comes to business wise?
So the most important thing is, do you have a contract? So we don't do any business without contracts. All
Right.
contracts have laid out, what happens if there is a late payment. Usually, if there is a late payment, we have the right to charge interest after 3 weeks of non-payment. And then, of course, we see the energy of the human. We see the reality of the situation. If it's a client I trust, if it's a client I know, if it's somebody who has a genuine reason and they are, requesting us, whether instead of disappearing on us, I think that says a lot of that gives a lot of volume to somebody. If instead of just disappearing on their failed payments, they actually write you an email, they actually tell you, I'm going through a hard time, can you make an exception here? And then on a case to case basis, my team is trained to make exceptions. Like, we don't want to make people's life hard. We know life can be hard sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
what we do not appreciate and where we go really heavy hands down is when people don't communicate, right? Like, if
Right.
you disappear on us, if you stop answering our emails. I actually had a client who came on one of our luxury women's retreats. So we do like these women's retreats all over the world in like gorgeous locations, five-star hotels, boat trips, spa treatments, and of course, love coaching. And she was on an installment plan, and it was a 10K offer, and she had barely paid 3 months,
Oh.
3K, and then she disappeared after the retreat. She came on the retreat, she used everything, and then she disappeared. And this is
Oh.
where, and she stopped answering our emails. And this is where we took legal action because we find this so out of integrity. And this is just not right. This is somebody who's out of integrity because we understand life can get hard, but then you would write an email, you would say, I'm sorry, I'm not able to pay right now. Can we postpone this by 2 months? Life is hard. But when somebody doesn't behave that way, I don't think they deserve concessions.
True, I agree. Well, I feel that every businesses will have their own difficult clients. It's just how you actually handle them, and how you don't get affected by them as well. Like how you actually mentioned it, you just um, handle it with care in a sense. You just ensure that they reply you, and make sure that there's some etiquette going along there, rather than ghosting them, and letting them ghost you as well, because contract is still a contract in a sense. And I
Absolutely.
believe.
I do want to say that, in the beginning of my business, I used to think that people treat me this way because I'm the sweet lady who will just say yes. If you push me around, I will say yes. But can you push around Pepsi? Can you push around Coca-Cola? Can you
No.
not? Can you go to a doctor and not pay your bills? Can you go to a lawyer and not pay your bills? You don't treat other services this way. Then why do you treat startups this way? This is where I decided like 2, 3 years ago, I run a mid sized company and it deserves to be taken seriously. I deserve to be taken seriously. My work deserves to be taken seriously. And if you wouldn't play around with a doctor or a lawyer, you don't get to play around with my services as well.
Right, I agree. I mean, this is, I would say, the the harsh side of business itself, because usually people, when it comes to new businesses and all, they will think that, oh, it's fine, I can just not pay, and then after that, that's it, right? And then the thing is, people do not know that those who are starting up, the tough side of starting up and all, because these people, I believe they might be, they would be corporate people that have been, that has always been well paid and all, and then now it's time for them getting services, and they thought, oh, Sammy is easy to push around because she's starting up new in this business. She'll say yes to everything and anything her clients say, but no, it's not that way. We shouldn't have this kind of mindset towards startups and people who are actually in this coaching services, unless if the coach is a scammer. Then of course you would have handle it that way. But then, of course, out of integrity aspect, it's still best not to do this kind of thing as well. For both parties, personal branding and all, it will definitely be very bad, especially if news get out of the way and out of hand. People start to spread about you not paying, and things like that. It will be really bad. And Sammy, you have been in this business for quite some time. I'm pretty sure you have met some failures, right? So can you share with us, do you have a favorite failure of yours, and how has that failure or apparent failure set you up for later success?
Yes, I remember around 2018 or 19, I ran a Valentine's Day sale, and the goal was to hit six figures with that campaign. And I think we made $2,000.
Oh,
It was such a massive failure. And I remember being on a trip with my husband that weekend. He had invited me for a Valentine's Day romantic weekend. And I felt like I just couldn't relax and enjoy myself because I was so attached to the campaign. And then, of course, it became very visible very quickly this wasn't working, what we had prepared. And then I just couldn't relax at the candlelight dinner. I couldn't enjoy the flowers. I couldn't enjoy the gifts he had got me. And I felt really sad that night because I was like, wow, like, why do I want to make those six figures? Because I think it's going to make me successful. Okay, why do I want to be successful? Because I think it's going to make me happy. And then I was like, but I have so many reasons to be happy here right now with the love of my life, but I'm not able to be happy right now. So somewhere my happiness is attached to what I achieve, and my happiness is attached to my business, and my worth is attached to what I make. And if I don't make what I said I would make, then I'm not happy and I'm not worthy. And I think that was such a life changing shift, because today a campaign can fail on me and I wouldn't make it at all about myself. I wouldn't let it steal my joy from the present moment. Like, I have detached from money and success from a
Mhm.
place of worthiness. Like, I know I am inherently worthy, and sometimes my campaigns will make multi six figures in one day, and sometimes they will make nothing. And you just have to step away from being so attached with your goals, because it robs you of the joy in life. And so I remember this moment so vividly because it taught me so much. And I think it's impossible to run a business if your emotional state is constantly connected to how the money is flowing and how the business is doing. And so you have to find ways to find your joy and your dopamine outside of your revenue and profit goals. Of course, you
Mm.
have to stay motivated, and you have to, do what needs to be done in order to make the impact you're here to make. But you have to step away from that emotional roller coaster. Otherwise, you can't sustain it. It's going to kill you at some point. You'll get a health challenge, or you will give up because you just cannot take that pressure every single day.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you are actually so attached with your business, when you have something, when something went wrong, you wouldn't want to actually detach yourself from it. You'll be thinking of how to fix that problem, or how people can help you to fix and come up with better solutions, rather than enjoying your date with your husband and all. I'm pretty sure it was very tough for you. But how did you manage to actually detach yourself from such goals and results of your um, uh, campaigns, or even per month sales, for example? How do you actually detach yourself from that? Because I'm pretty sure it's not easy, especially women are more emotional in a sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a journey. I don't want to make it sound like it's sailing a boat on the Mediterranean Sea and it's super easy. I think it's a cultivated, continued mindset and practice. So there can still be days where I just go like, "Oh, what's happening? This is not working." And I can have an emotional response to it, but now I'm able to catch that. I'm able to step back. I'm able to say, "Okay, why are you doing this?" To make an impact, to be joyful, to be happy, then be happy now, and then step back and become objective about the campaign. That campaign means nothing in the long run. Um, it's just one campaign among many campaigns in the year. As a CEO, put on your solution hat and ask yourself, how can we do better? What didn't work? And so just basically bringing objectivity versus emotion into the picture. And as I said, it's a cultivated practice. You have to catch yourself when you're getting emotional. You have to catch yourself when you're getting attached. You have to take a deep breath. You have to say, okay, I'm doing that thing again where I'm going in a spin. Okay, so take a deep breath, step back, go drink a coffee, go take a walk, move your body, get out of your head, journal if you must, and then come back to it with objectivity.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree with being objective rather than, being so emotional about things, and being objective and coming out with that thinking head of yours will be better, because it will give you less anxiety. It will help you to have a clear headed mind, and you can actually be able to come up with solutions more faster and easier, as compared to being so fixated with, oh man, I'm so useless, oh man, I did so many things wrong, in a sense. And I'd like to ask you, right, I read about you saying about this quote, very, I would say, very often. And the quote is this: you talk a lot about this importance of working smarter and not harder. So how can entrepreneurs achieve that?
Yeah, I remember I was interviewed by the Forbes magazine on how to work smarter and not harder for multi seven figure success. And I think the most important thing is to believe first that it's impossible for you to grow, serve more people, share your gifts with the world, and work less. So the
Okay.
most important thing is shifting the belief system because I didn't have that belief system. In the beginning, I just had the belief system if I have to grow, I have to work harder. If I have to serve more people, I have to work harder. Till I reached a point where we were seven figures and I was like, "Oh my god, like how do people who have eight-figure businesses survive?" Because at this point, I cannot double my effort. Like I am giving everything I can, and like, if I have to double my revenue, do I have to double my hours? Because that is crazy. It's not sustainable. It's not possible. So
Mhm.
then you open your eyes to a new reality. You go like, okay, there are people who are making far more than I, and they're serving far more people than myself. So, how are they doing it? Because we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And we all have, most of us want to get our night's sleep. And most of us, have other responsibilities, children, you want to take a shower, you want to meet friends, like you want to have a life outside your business. So,
Right.
long story short, I think shifting the belief system is so important because, especially in Asia, India, we are taught that you want more, you just work more. And that mindset is going to bring you to the ground because it's going to keep making you work harder and harder, not smarter. So now, once you shift the belief system and you go, okay, so many people are doing more than me, how are they doing it? I'm going to get curious. Then it starts with leveraging time by focusing on needle moving things. Okay. So, just to give you an example, my team and I are going to be preparing for our annual strategy for next year now. And we're going to look
Mhm.
back at this year and we're going to ask ourselves what worked. And we're going to ask ourselves what didn't work. And we are only going to repeat what worked. Whatever didn't work, we're going to drop it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we are learning to work smarter because we understand that, there are some pieces of content that bring leads. There are some ads that work. There are some videos that really bring subscribers for me on YouTube. If you go to Sami Wunder YouTube channel, you'll see earlier I would just keep producing new videos. Now I'm like, okay, I want to go back and look at which videos are bringing us more subscribers and why are they working? What am I saying in those YouTube videos that is actually resonating with women and they are subscribing to my channel? And then I want to stop creating videos that don't work and I want to create more that does work, right? So
Right.
you have to cultivate this habit of assessing what is truly working because you can be busy every single day, you can create new content every single day, but is it really landing? Is it really working? And then only focusing on maximizing the parts of your business that are truly working and converting. So it's called looking at the needle movers.
Hmm. Love it. Wow. I love this. It's true that you got to look at what works and what didn't, and then from there you can move to newer heights, especially with what has worked and what you can do better and what other strategies you can add in as well. And I'd like to ask you, right, I'm pretty sure, Sammy, you have a lot of mentors along the way, right? So can you share with us, like, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received from your mentor?
It's going to sound a little funny because it's not about business.
Oh, okay.
It's about not forgetting why you started the business in the first place. And so, always and always being connected with your why, because there are days you will want to give up and not want to do this thing. And
Right.
then your why is going to wake you up again. Your why is going to bring you back into the field again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are days where the glamour, the money will feel more attractive than service. Again, coming back to why you do this is going to keep you that being that good person, that good leader that actually cares about the people they serve versus just caring about the money and the impact and the glamour, which of course comes with success, right?
Right.
So I don't have an issue with the glamour and the money, but I do have an issue when we forget why. Like, those people that we serve, they literally are the reason why we are abundant, right? And so staying in touch with the why and never ever forgetting the centerpiece of your service, which is the human, the person, your client, your customer. I think for me, that has been the best piece of advice, because with the years, it has helped me get through hard times, and it has never let me forget where I come from. And it has helped me develop really deep, nurturing, intimate relationships with my clients and my customers. And they really know who Sami Wunder is, and they really know she cares. And for me, at least for me personally, that is very important, because there comes a point also where, the money is there, the success is there, the fame is there. And then you realize it is the human connection that really nurtures you. It's the human connection that really feeds you. So I believe in having those intimate, deep relationships with my customers and my clients, because they nurture me back. I'm not the only one giving to them. They also give back to me, with love, with respect, with, recognition. Thank you, Sammy, for changing my life. So I think staying connected with your why is going to give you long term sustained motivation, so that you are not that kind of business that rises to the top and then crashes, which
Right.
is what happens to most startups within the first 2, 3, 4, or 5 years. Most don't make it beyond the 5 year mark. And I think barely 8% make it beyond the 10-year mark. And so,
Right.
for sustained motivation, for sustained inspiration, you need something more than money and fame. You want to go for, why am I doing this? And who is the human I'm serving? And stay connected with that.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you that we have to know our why. And you have to know your why before you actually go and start your business and all, because the money is there, the fame is there, but the why is not there. You feel depressed after a while. You feel like, oh man, I'm serving all these people. I have so much money. I can buy my favorite car, watches, and whatever not. And next moment, you go into depression because you do not know why you are doing this and how you are actually able to enjoy this process rather than just working for the money and that's it, and working for the money so you can buy the next luxury house or yacht or whatsoever, and things will go sideways when you go and just focus on the money. And you have that amount of money, it can only bring you a certain amount of joy, but after a while it'll deplete in a while. So that's why I truly believe that you need to know your why, like what Sammy has mentioned, so that you can actually be able to fully enjoy the process of serving people, and in turn you are able to reap the rewards from there. And um, I would like to ask you, right, because many of our listeners love to read books, and I myself love to read books as well, as you can see from the background, which you saw me walking in and out from that earlier, right? So, Sammy, what are 1 to 3 books that have greatly influenced your life?
So I think, it's The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle really taught me to come back into presence and enjoy the moment and not just live life in my head, which I
Mm-hmm.
think can really happen with entrepreneurs.
Right.
Um, I think, for another book that really shifted my perspective and helped me become more objective was The Art of Not Giving a Fish by Mark Manson.
Benson, yeah, yeah.
A really solid book, really strong, really shifts your perspective on, you can't worry about everything and drive yourself crazy, because that's who I used to be in the beginning. As you said, women are emotional, and like being a leader and
Yeah.
managing a team and managing clients, it's like, oh my God, I thought I was starting a company to feel more freedom and joy. And here I am just feeling miserable all the time. And so that book really made a difference in my life as well. And then
Okay.
there was The Choice for Love by Marianne Williamson. And I think for
Oh.
me, that is just like a way of living life where whoever you meet, make sure you're adding to their energy, not taking away from it. No matter which event you go to, no matter which client you receive, your partner, your girlfriend, whoever comes into contact with you, you make the choice to be in love. And by being in love, you just like bring that energy of gratitude and joy wherever you go. And I think that just adds so much to our magnetic power, our power to attract more clients, our power to be the person that people actually want to be around. And so for me, energetically, that was very enhancing.
Wow, love it. These three books are amazing. I've read two of them, not yet. The third one, I've not read them yet. I read it yet, so I'll go and check it out. So for those of you who are tuning into this episode, you can actually go Amazon or any of your bookstores to actually find them and let us know how you find it after you've read them. Okay, and now to the main focus of our interview. Sammy, I would like to ask you, right, what is the real reason, okay, why modern dating is challenging for high performing individuals, especially women?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons. The first is that the we have too many choices. So it's a good thing and a bad thing, because if you
Mm-hmm.
go on Bumble and Tinder, everybody wants the dopamine hit. Everybody wants to meet you tonight. Do you want to meet for a drink tonight? And do you want to meet again tomorrow if it was good today? And so basically, what we're trying, and if you don't meet me, then I'll just swipe you left or unmatch you, and I'll find somebody who does give me that dopamine hit tonight. So I
Mm-hmm.
think we're all seeking instant gratification. And the problem with instant gratification is that it never lets you think about the long term. So when you don't look that attractive in 10 years from now, and you are sick, you have nobody because you can't swipe right and ask somebody for a drink tonight. And
Right.
then you will be faced with the choices you make today, which is, if you're just about instant gratification, you just want everything easy. People are not ready to make an effort anymore. People are not ready to make a commitment anymore. We just want it easy. And I think for men, the hard part is like, once you have seen an attractive woman, you've seen a hot woman, it is so difficult to like build something real, especially if physical intimacy is involved. And then
Mm-hmm.
guys are trained for, going for the kill, like going for the conquer. And
Yeah.
when you go for the kill and the conquer so quickly, you really do not attach emotionally. And when you don't attach emotionally, you start to practice suboptimal choices in dating, which is you only then seek instant gratification. And therefore, a woman who actually likes to take it slow, a woman who's not going to sleep with you in the first few months, you're going to ask yourself, why should I make all that effort when I can have somebody who's attractive and is willing to sleep with me on date number two? And so
Right.
we're facing a crisis in our society right now where, you know, men, especially with all the choice that is available on dating apps, we're going for instant gratification. And women, at least the kind of women I work with, the high achievers, the ambitious ones, they are going for the top 1%, the top 5% men. Now, this is
Oh,
really
okay.
problematic. This is really problematic. I think
Yeah.
we don't understand the consequences of this right now, but we are basically, what we're doing is that we are leaving 95% of the men without partners. So 95% men are not getting any attention from attractive, super attractive women, because those super attractive women are aiming for the top category of men, high net worth, super attractive, very ambitious, has money. And now what happens is that these men have so many choices, they don't know what to do with their choices.
Right.
And so they are practicing suboptimal dating strategies. Meet a woman for the evening, meet another one for the night, meet another one for breakfast. Take as many as you can to bed because you can, right? You are getting
Mhm.
all this attention. But this is not good for the long term. And this is definitely not good for also the women who are left hurting and being ghosted on and being cheated upon by these men. And so we're looking at a society where the rich men and the ambitious men that many women would call the top percent man, 1% man. I don't call it the top 1% man, but many
Mhm.
women call it the top 1% man. You know, this man is going to be single forever. He's just going to rotate among different women. And the hot
Right.
woman, the attractive woman, is also going to be single forever because she's going to keep choosing the top 1% in her
Yeah.
and she's going to keep getting burnt and ghosted. And so we're living in like this crazy world where the top brackets are often single and,
Mhm.
and the the less attractive, or let's say the mediocre attractive men and women,
Mhm.
they're the ones who are moving on, getting together, making life happen. And
Yeah.
they are the ones who are going to win in the long run. And I think if an attractive man and an attractive woman can play a long-term mating strategy, I think that's when they will win. But they don't play that, they play the short-term game.
Yeah, I agree with you on that to a certain extent, especially um, women who are choosing, men are choosing as well. It's fine to choose. It's just that society has actually brought us to the extent of, um, hey, you got to date up. You got to date up. You got to keep dating up. And not just that, you recently watched a YouTube video where someone was on the streets just asking questions, and they asked this girl, how much do you think or feel that your boyfriend or your future husband have to earn? And the girl said that 1 year that guy has to earn 500K, and she's not as attractive as you. She is worse, look in terms of the looks wise, and in terms of the size wise. She's very chubby, and she's saying this, hey, I want a guy who's 500K, earning 500K. But of course, probably she was just trolling, or she was for real, which we do not know. But if let's say this is how society deem guys to be, and how guys should be in the realm of relationship, then it's going to be very toxic, because there are people who are not earning 500K a year. There are people who are earning $500 a month. Some are even earning more, slightly more than that. Some are earning, depending on which country you are in, right? In India, in Philippines, I know people who are earning what, 600, 700 Sing dollars, or some can be even 800 USD, for example. But they are not earning so much. And when women have that ideology saying that, hey, guys should be at this level because you're gonna provide for me, you're gonna be, cooking for me and whatever not. I find that, this generation, or this certain generation of women, they are pretty much taught to be entitled because they are given this in the family. Correct me if I'm wrong in terms of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think many times people don't have an objective view of their own reality. Like you're saying, like I want a guy who makes 500K a year, and that's fine. You can want what you want. But
Right.
you also have to ask yourself, does he want me?
Right.
Like
Right.
what do I bring to the table? And am
Yes.
I just going to be single forever because my expectations are totally unrealistic and they're not a match
Hmm.
for what I am offering, right? Also,
Right.
I think when I see myself as a woman, my biggest fear is that a man just wants me for sex. And I think when I
Mm.
meet men, their biggest fear is she just wants me for my money.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think it's so important to look beyond, for men to look at women beyond her beauty, because her beauty is going to fade at some point. And so you
Right.
better like the person that she is. She better be pleasant. She better be nurturing. She better be respectful. She better have emotional maturity, right?
Right.
And for women, um, because a man's fear is that he's just wanted for his money, he wants to feel respected. He wants that you're interested in him as a person and what he brings to the table, not just like the money he can make and what he can give you. And I think when we look at the dynamics of today, like women like me, if I were to be single tomorrow, I don't need a man for his money. I
Mm-hmm.
don't need a man for his money. I would, in fact, look at character. I would look at values. I would look at, how well he treats me. Of course, I don't want to be with somebody who can't, who expects me to baby him or provide for him. That's never going to happen. Like, sorry. But like,
Right.
there's so many men, for example, who wouldn't make 500K a year, but they would make 200K a year. They would make 100K a year, and they're still great guys. And I think what we
Mm.
have to see is that, who is he as a person? Does he bring value to the table? I think when women marry men for money, they have so much competition because that woman can be replaced so quickly by another hot woman who also wants the man for his money. But when
True.
women marry for character and emotional bond, I think it makes you irreplaceable. I think that's power.
Yes, that is real power. I mean, to be able to not just look at the hotness wise, the money wise, but look at characteristics, compatibility, and also at the same time emotional bonding. This is what makes the world, or makes this current generation believe in love again, because a lot of times we are all being brought into Hollywood, Bollywood, and whichever wood there are, about love, about romance. Oh, you got to do this in order to win the girl's heart. You got to do that in order to be with the man. But then again, in real life, there are so many nuances that you gotta face together with the man. Oh, what if this guy is gonna be sick? What if this girl is gonna face certain rejection at work? Or what if the in-laws are gonna fight with your wife because of probably certain values that are not aligned? All these things are way beyond what we're gonna talk about in terms of, oh, we're gonna date for love and sex and money, as well as etc. It's more than that in a sense, right? Because in this day and age, um we shouldn't be just looking at the surface area of love. It's beyond that in a sense, from what I realized after going through certain heartbreaks, going through certain relationship, and I realized that, oh, this is love. I mean, it's not just about bringing a girl back home, or it's not just being with a guy for 2 months, 3 months, and then after that he broke the heart and all. It's beyond that surface level. It's more than that. And I'd like to ask you, right? We were talking about this top 1% earlier in terms of women as well as for men. So, um, do you believe that men actually were intimidated by smart and successful women?
No, I don't believe in that at all. I only
Okay.
believe that insecure men are intimidated by strong and successful women. And
Makes sense.
I believe a man who is secure in his worth, he's proud to have an intelligent, successful, accomplished wife. I think what we hear in the society today, that men are intimidated by successful, strong women, is basically when women are more in their masculine energy. I think a feminine woman who is successful and strong is very
Mm-hmm.
attractive to men. But a woman who is successful, but then she's in her masculine energy and she's trying to control you and she's emasculating you and she can't receive your love and she can't receive your effort, I think that is unattractive. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that is what we tell the world. Oh, men don't like a strong and successful woman. No, I think men love a strong and successful woman as long as she still knows how to be in her feminine energy.
Right, I agree. And all these women are classified as alpha females. Am I right to say that? like the alpha in the relationship, and the man who is supposed to be alpha became beta because the alpha of the feminine, I mean the masculine energy of the lady outpowers that guy in a sense. Then how can we balance this in a
Well,
relationship?
my marriage is a great example of how we can balance because when I started out, when I married my husband, he was the one with the great job and he was the provider and he was
Mm.
buying me luxury bags in Paris and
Oh
I could
wow.
I didn't have to work. I could just like receive and be happy, but I wanted to work. I wanted to, bring my gifts to the world. And today the equation looks like this, that my husband's amazing job, of course, now still there, fails in comparison to what a digital online company can do for me. Where literally your listeners, if they go to samiwunder.com and go to self study programs, they can download my programs overnight, which means I can wake up richer every day. Like I serve people while I sleep. I
Mm-hmm.
change their life while I sleep, and I wake up in the morning and I have sales that I see, right? So,
Right.
no job. Like you could, I don't even think the president of the United States, salary wise, can compare with a digital company that is doing well, right? And so I make more than him today, but in our marriage, he's still the husband.
Right.
In our marriage, he's still the man. And in our marriage, he's still the leader. And he still pours, gives. Like for Christmas, he's like, do you like this Versace bag? Do you like these Dior shoes? Like he invests in me. And that is still very much our equation. So I think what's important is not to let your boss babe energy trickle in your private life, which is very hard for women. But that's what my entire business is based on. It's what I teach women every single day, how to be in your feminine energy and how to receive from men, how to not emasculate men. And if you know those skills, then you can be a girl in your house and you can still be a boss babe at work. And that's the balance we're looking to strike.
Hmm. Right. I agree. And just now we were also talking about this amount of women that are always looking for that you know that top 1% of men. So have you ever seen women who are in the top 1% or 5% dating below them? For example, this girl is a multi-millionaire, but she's dating a guy who's earning what, 80K, 100K a year, kind of person. Is do this exist? Does this exist?
Absolutely, it does.
Oh,
And I've worked with celebrities, I work with very high net worth individuals. A lot of these individuals, I can't even take their names because it would change my business overnight, but we
okay.
sign we sign NDAs. It's love coaching after all. It feels private to many people. But the truth is that you come to a point where you see the diminishing marginal returns to money, and that's the point I'm trying to make here. Like there comes a point where if you make 100K a year and you start to make 400K, your life will change like you can't imagine. And if you make
Right.
400K and you make a million, again, your life will change in a way you can't imagine. But if you make seven figures and then you make multi seven figures, now you're already not knowing what to do with that extra money. I mean, you could of course buy a yacht and you could buy a private jet. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your emotional fulfillment. All your needs are met. You eat well, you live well, you dress nice, you can afford good things. And now you start to understand that I could just keep dating for money, but it will not really add much to what my life already looks like, right?
Right.
And so, having a partner that I can actually share my success with, having a partner that I can travel with, having a partner that, is there to hold me when I've had a hard day is far more valuable in terms of the returns when a woman reaches that stage. Now, of course, there are some women who will keep holding out for more than me, better than me. And that's fine too if you do not mind the time cost of it. So, if you don't mind getting 38 to 42 and still holding out, if that's your choice matrix, fair enough. But there are smart people out there who really factor in the cost of time. And they're like, no, I'm not going to keep holding out for Bradley Cooper. I'm going to
Right.
appreciate the great man in front of me. And I am going to build something real with him so that it can last. And a bird in hand is worth two in the bush, right? So, cost factoring in the cost of time. Plus, I would say, I think when women will hear this message, it will make the men smile. But if the women hear this message and feel like Sammy is asking me to settle, I really want to make sure I'm telling you I do not want you to settle. We often think in extremes when we have a fear. So let's say you want the guy who is making 500K a year. Now you heard Sami Wunder, the leading, love success coach, saying, but a guy at 100K or 200K is equally great. Like, why that number in order to have love? And of course, that number will be different for different people. This number might be very big in Southeast Asia or South Asia, but in San Francisco, this number is like you have the cost of living at 125K a year. That is poverty line. So in San Francisco, making 500K is not a very big deal. So I'm just saying the numbers are relative, but I'm talking about the concept. So what happens is when we have the fear of settling, we will think in terms of, oh, so I either have to marry somebody who drives a taxi or a bus, or I have to marry the millionaire. There's nothing in the middle. And I
Mhm.
teach my clients to think in the middle. You know, I teach
Oh,
my clients that you don't have to marry a man that you have to provide for. You don't have to marry a man who cannot afford a ticket to fly to you. You don't have to marry a man that depends on your money in order to live a good life. But there are so many men who make enough money to lead a good life themselves. They will never be a burden on you. But yeah, if you want to just travel first class and if you just want five-star resorts, he may not be able to be part of that lifestyle, which means that you might have to make that, find that sweet spot, find that middle ground where, you are able to also enjoy, a different kind of experience. And if you really want the luxury experience, you can still, find a middle ground where, maybe you can go there with your girlfriends who are also multimillionaires. He doesn't have to like, I think women
right.
have this fear that I don't want to provide for a guy. And I just try to say, you don't have to. You just need a man who can provide for himself, and he will still, like, my husband doesn't depend on my income at all. He doesn't need it at all. Why? He has a great income, right? In
Right.
fact, he pours into me. For our 10th marriage anniversary, he actually got me like this really expensive diamond and Aphrodite stones, tanzanite stones,
Wow.
and it shows you that you can have a great man in your life who numerically makes less than you, but he could still be so giving to you and generous to you and pouring into you with what he has. And I think that makes the biggest difference, because I have clients whose men make double and triple than they do, and they pour nothing back into their wives, they pour nothing back into their girlfriends, right? So
Mhm.
again, we're coming back to values, we're coming back to, is he generous, does he like to share what he has even if he doesn't have much,
Right.
does he like to lead a good life, with what he has, does he have an abundance mindset? And so we get stuck on the numbers, but we should actually be looking at values and energy.
I agree. I mean, values, energy is very important. Then, Sammy, what about attachment styles? Do you feel that attachment styles are very important when it comes to long-term relationship, or it's not really that an issue?
I think that attachment styles are a phenomenal piece of work in the love and relationship realm.
Right.
However, I do think that we overemphasize them. I think a lot of people start to be very mental about, this is my attachment style, that is my attachment style, these are all the problems I have. And I'm like, okay, if you want to get results, you want to change something, shift something, then you have to go into solution. So it's good to know if you have an avoidant attachment style. It's good to know if you have an anxious attachment style. It's good to know if you have a secure attachment style. But after that, you should stop analyzing yourself. You should ask yourself, so what is it that I need to do differently? If I have an anxious attachment style, what do I need to learn? to do better, to feel better. If I have
Right.
an avoidant attachment style, when somebody messages me, I probably don't want to respond to the message. Or when somebody messages me, I probably want to ignore them versus be respectful and get back to them. So now I'm focusing on the solution versus the problem. So the next time I know I have an avoidant attachment style, I don't, but I'm just giving an example. If I have an avoidant attachment style, the next time somebody messages me, I know I tend to avoid. So this time I'm going to actually take a deep breath. I'm going to respond. And I'm going to breathe through that fear of, oh, they're trying to chase me, or they're trying to pursue me, they're trying to corner me. I'm going to breathe through that because now I know this is what I do in order to create distance. So in my work, so I have a program called Elevate, where for 6 months we work with single women to help them attract incredible men, and women in relationships to heal their relationships and heal their marriages. And what we teach our clients is it's good to know your attachment style, but don't get too stuck on that. Don't start reading books about attachment style because then you're again in the problem. You need to be in the
Right.
solution. You need to ask yourself, okay, I know what my issue is. Now, what changes do I need to make in the way I'm showing up so that I can get better results?
Hmm. Agree. Agree. Always focus on the solution rather than the problem itself.
And a
And
lot of the literature, a lot of the literature focuses on the problem. A lot of the literature
yes.
tells you what is wrong with you. And I don't think that's helpful.
Yeah, and they always say, oh, avoidance shouldn't be with anxious, but then again, there are many cases that, anxious and avoidant are always attracted to one another and they always be together and they break up and then they come back and then and whatever in a sense, right? Right. Or they get married as well. So those people who have been watching YouTube videos about attachment styles, just forget it. Just follow Sammy and then go for Elevate, and you will get results from there rather than focusing on the problems like all those YouTube coaches that have been teaching you about avoidance styles and all. And as we are coming to the end of the podcast, we have two more questions for you, and that is this. Um, so, for men and women who are returning to the dating scene after a breakup or divorce, what mindset shifts or strategies are crucial for them?
I think it's really important to ask yourself, what are you looking for?
Right.
It's important to ask yourself, what values am I seeking versus just physical attraction? Because your short-term dating strategies can cost you years. It is not a joke. If you show up on those apps or if you show up in social networking events and all you're looking for is who can I spend the night with or this weekend, uh, before you know, you have an addiction. It's an addiction as strong as a drug, and it's going to cost you years. So my recommendation is to be very intentional about how you date. Now, of course, I don't judge people who are not ready for a real relationship. They've just come out of a long marriage, they've just gotten divorced, they're just going through a breakup, they're just looking to, like, take it easy for some time. That's okay, as long as it's for some time. But if it becomes like the way you date, then you have to remember that the way to date casual for fun is very different than the way you date to get a partner for life. And so you're not going to end up with a partner for life if you're dating for casual fun. I mean, of course, there's always exceptions to everything. So there are those few people who were looking for nothing and found love, but the majority of people who are not looking for love, only looking for sex, will only find sex. They will not find love. So be intentional. Ask yourself, what am I looking for? Be real with yourself. Ask yourself, what values am I seeking beyond the physical attraction? And then be honest with them, be honest with yourself. I think honesty is just such a powerful quality to possess in the dating sphere. And remember, like, I think we are truly better off being single than being with a person who's not right for us. So always having the courage to walk away when something doesn't feel aligned, always having the courage to leave even a highly attractive relationship with amazing sex because she doesn't respect you or she just wants you for your money. Or for the woman, he might have a lot of money, but if he doesn't treat you well, if he's a womanizer, if he leaves you feeling like you're walking on eggshells and feeling insecure all the time, have the
Mm.
courage to walk away. I think, again, people stay in the wrong equations for too long. They don't factor in the cost of time, and your time is precious.
Yeah, I agree. Time is really precious. You can play as much as you want, but then time is ticking down. Your body clock will not, allow you to play as much as you want when you are probably when you are 24 or 25, you would have played more than, when you are 34, 36 and all, because your body clock can't keep up with that pace that you had in the past. So I agree with what Sammy has mentioned. Be intentional rather than just thinking of the fun part. But as for this last question that I have for you, which is totally nothing got to do with dating, it's got to do with business. Okay, so Sammy, imagine this: you suddenly lose everything. Okay, your money, your reputation, your assets. What would you do from day one to day 30 to save yourself?
Well, I will remind myself first and foremost that I was the one who created all of that. So it's within me. Nobody can take everything away from me because I am the source of the magic that was created, that is gone, that can be created again.
Right.
And it's going to happen through me. I think the second thing I would remind myself is well done, Sammy, for focusing on your love life because you're not standing in this hard place alone. You have love in your life.
Yes.
You have a man by your side who's going to stick with you through the thick and thin. You have two beautiful kids you created that, love you, and that will remind you that you could take everything away from this woman, but she still is standing on solid grounds. And so I'm going to give myself a good pat on the back for like, well done for not doing short-term dating strategies, but long-term strategies, because it is on a day like this when you really value that. um, and then I
Agree.
think third, I would start by asking myself, how do I leverage my gifts in the best possible way? Even if everything was taken away from me, these skills and gifts are within me. I'm going to ask myself, who can I help? Who can I bring value to? And basically start from scratch.
Okay, nice. I love this. I love this. Many times the guests that came on to my podcast, they didn't mention about, I'm grateful that my family is there to that I can depend on, that I can share the burden with, or share the responsibility with. That they normally will say, "Oh, I'm gonna start a job, or I'm gonna leverage on my skills to start my business." But yours is truly amazing. I mean, you talk about your love, your family, and I truly agree with you that you really have an amazing husband that you can rely on, that you can depend on, and a great family that can be with. And wow, that's totally amazing. Thank you so much for your gifts to the world and the tips that you have shared onto the podcast. So where can my listeners find you?
Yeah, so I'm all over the internet. You just have to spell my name correctly. So it's Sami Wunder,
Right.
Samiwunder. It's a German word for wonder. So it's Wunder, Wunder. Sami Wunder. You can go to my website. You can also find me on Instagram at the rate Sami Wunder Coach. Rayson and I are now following each other, so we're going to be connected. And Rayson, I do have a gift for your audience that you can share with them on the show notes. So it's all for the
Okay.
single women who are getting fed up of dating. They don't know how to date, nothing works out. I have a video training called Five Signs He's a Keeper, and never miss these red flags again. And this is for the woman who wants to learn how to value the good men and not just keep falling for the high chemistry top 1% man who leaves her feeling crying and sad. So if you want to attract a great guy, men show the signs right from the beginning. And this training is helping you see what those signs are and also what red flags you never want to ignore, no matter how much chemistry and attraction you feel for a guy. So, this video training link is in the show notes, and it would be great to have your ladies join us and watch this life changing training in the way they will be dating after listening to it.
Awesome, nice. So for those of you who are tuning in, do check out that it is already in the show note. It's in her website itself, and you can actually go and watch it and learn as much as you can from the free materials that she's going to give you, not just a training video, but other tips and tricks for women on dating and relationship as well. Well, with that, I would like to thank Sammy for being here with us. Such an amazing vibe that we have, and the awesome tips, golden nuggets that she has dropped over here. And also, not forgetting to thank each and every one of you who has been tuning in to the Legacy Show. And for those who just chance upon this podcast, it will be great for you to actually subscribe to the Legacy Show on Spotify, iTunes, and other major platforms as well. So, with that, see you guys again for the next episode of the Legacy Show. With that, take care and bye bye.